Hey everybody, I hope last week was a lot of fun for you. This week it's time to take all of the assets that you made, all of the audio, video, etc., and put it all together and make your final product. The very first thing you're going to need is a video editing software. There are tons of different kinds you could use. I can think of probably a dozen off the top of my head. If you are an Apple user, you already have free access to iMovie, which is pretty easy to use, so I would just use that. If you're not an Apple user, or even if you are, there are tons of other options out there that I really like. For example, some of my favorites are Adobe Premiere Pro and Camtasia. Both of these options you do have to pay for, however, so I wouldn't recommend them if you're not going to be creating videos a lot. I would recommend looking up the best editing softwares for this year. I found this awesome article, goes through some of the best softwares and why, what they're good for, so you can find which one works best for you on your budget or for free or different things that you're looking for in it. The software I've been obsessed with recently is Camtasia. I am loving it, so that's what I'm going to use today for my example. I already recorded myself playing a super simple piece, and I'm going to make this as simple as possible just to get the basics in. You can get really crazy and creative with your video editing, but we're just going to talk about the very basics to make a really compelling video. Whatever software you choose to use, the very first thing you're going to need to do is import the media or the different assets that you've created, like your audio and video, and import them into the program so you can start working with them. In order to do that, you need to make sure that the files are on the device that you're going to be editing on. I used my phone and my iPad to get footage and recording for this video, so I'm going to need to take those files and transfer them onto my computer. There are tons of different ways to do this: Dropbox, OneDrive, whatever. My favorite way is Google Drive. So I'm going to take my audio first and I'm going to send it to Drive. Send it to this one. And it's already named correctly so I can find it, so I'll click upload. And that was super fast, so we'll go ahead and go to the videos. Alright, so we need these 4 videos at the bottom. I'm going to do one at a time because I find that that's actually faster because it's not trying to upload a ton of footage at the same time. So we'll just select the first one, and we'll send it to Drive again. Yeah, and this is going to take a little bit more time because video takes up a lot more space than audio does. In the meantime, I will go to my Drive since the audio is already uploaded and we can start working with that. And I will download it. I'll go back to Camtasia and click Import Media. And there we go. It's right here, Chopsticks Audio. So I'll open that up. Sometimes you'll need to scroll through it. I was already on downloads, so that's why it was super fast. But sometimes you need to go find where you downloaded it and then open it up. If it's something that you're going to be working on for a while, you'll probably want to save it in a place that's easy to find in a whole file with all of the assets for the video. Also, never delete an asset from your computer while you're still using it for a project because that will delete it from the project as well. We're just going to put the audio track on the project. So I'm just going to click it and drag it down to track 1. You'll notice these little peaks and valleys, which are just a visual representation of what you're hearing. We can zoom in on this by just kind of bringing this up. For simplicity's sake, I actually just played this with Piano Marvel so that it would be really simple to make everything the same tempo. However, I told you in the last video that the best way to do that was to record the audio first and make sure that you have a big clap at the beginning. That's still true, I still recommend that, but if you did use Piano Marvel, that's also a really easy way to line it up. That being said, instead of a big clap that I made myself, we're just going to use the count off from Piano Marvel to sync up the audio with the video. Alright, so we're done uploading all of our assets. Now we have Chopsticks 3 and 4 ready to go as well, so we're going to download those. And it's ready to go, so we'll go ahead and put it all into Camtasia. Great, so now we have all 4 of my videos in here. These 4 and this audio file are the ones that I'm going to use to make this project. I already added the audio file, so I'm going to go ahead and do the same to the other videos. Now we have one of the most important steps. You need to make sure that everything is synced up. We need to find the place in the videos and in the audio where we have either a clap or, in this case, the count off. So we'll go ahead and start playing it. Yep, so everything's all at different times, right? So that's not gonna work. Let's see when it actually starts playing. Absolute chaos, so that's not going to work. We're going to need to sync everything up. For this video, it's probably going to be easier to just use the first note from every track to sync everything up, because that's where we have the biggest hump, and the count off was actually pretty quiet. So in this case, unlike most cases, this is actually going to be easier. So what we're going to do is try to line everything up as well as possible. And now we are pretty close. Let's listen to that. That's pretty good. It's not nearly as chaotic, so it looks like we're doing pretty well. Now we're going to zoom in and get everything even closer. Yeah, that's pretty close. Let's hear it. Yeah, it's pretty close. About as good as we're going to be able to get, because every recording was a tiny bit different, so they're never going to be perfect, but that's pretty close. So I think we're going to go with that. Now we're going to go a little bit in front of that right before we started playing, and we're going to select all of the tracks at once. Now we're going to click clip, and every video editing software has this. It's in a different place in some of them, but they all have a way to clip. We're going to delete, select and delete. I just hit the backspace button after I selected them. And now we're going to select everything else and move it all the way to the beginning. Now the next step is to take away the rest of the audio. In some programs, all you have to do is mute the different tracks that you don't want. In this one, I haven't found a way to do that. So for Camtasia, I just have to separate the audio and video and then delete the audio. So then I'll go ahead and pull the next one down. Let's see, that number 2. Pull it down and do the exact same thing. And I'll do that for all 4 of them. Great, looks like we're all synced up and ready to start cutting. Before we make our first cut, make any changes that you want to make to the entire video. For example, if I don't want this little basket in the background, or at least most of it in the background, I can cut out as much of it as I want. And now for the whole video, it's going to be kind of cut out. So if you want to make any changes like that, now is the time to do it. Now we're going to get to the fun part where we can really get creative. I have 4 different shots for my video. One is a moving shot, while the other 3 are just still shots, but they're all taken from different angles. I'm going to want to switch scenes pretty quickly throughout, so it keeps my audience's attention. I think I want to start with this video number 1 at the bottom. So I'm going to move that to the top so I can actually see what's happening in it, because the top one is the only one you see. Right there, I think, is when we're going to switch. So let's move all these. So just kind of deleting the beginning part of the other 3 videos because we're not using that part for them. So now we're going to want to cut where we want the change and then pull it back so we can see what's underneath it. Let's see. And I think I want a different change here. So let's see what we got. We have, I think, yeah, let's do this angle. So let's see how that looks when we switch.
All right, so now we just need to basically end the video at a good place. Let's see, and honestly, if I were actually going to be making a video that I wanted to be proud of, I would probably work a little bit longer on this, make sure that my cuts were really good, but that's the basic gist of it. So now we're going to make this smaller, make sure everything cuts off at the right time. So let's see. All right, that's about it actually. Let's see, let's go back a little farther. All right, we're gonna cut this off here. We have 1, 2, 3 that we need to cut off. So I'll click them all, select them all by clicking shift and then, or sorry, by holding shift on my keyboard and then clicking. And then I will cut them and then I will delete the ends because we don't need them. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to actually select everything by just clicking around and then dragging around all of them. And then I will right click and click group. So now everything is just in one track, and I'm going to pull that down to track 1 as well. We definitely want to have a fade in and fade out or some transition like that at the beginning and the end because it just makes it a lot more professional. And in fact, we'll probably want a title at the beginning of our video. Let me show you how to do that. All right, we're going to want to make an annotation for the title. So we'll just do this bad boy. And we're gonna pull this back so it's just over black. I will go ahead and delete the rest by just trimming it down and then put the video right back to the edge. And we can also just pull this down so we know it's exactly fitting in that space. Now between the two, I'm going to want a transition so it doesn't just go like this. Boom. So let's do a little fade in. So we're going to transitions. So we have a fade or a fade through black. The fade is basically the two images kind of appear over each other for a little bit. And we don't probably want the words to appear. I don't, at least. You might have a different opinion. You can do whatever you want, make it really fun and creative in your own. But I like the fade through black. So we're gonna do fade through black, drag it in between these two. You'll see it kind of turns green on either side, like that. Drag it and drop it there, and now we have our fade through black. Let's try that. And that was a little funny. So just one thing to keep in mind is it does take a little bit of effort for your computer to run it. So sometimes it's not as clean as it will look after you actually render the video. So sometimes that's not a reason to worry, but let's see. Yeah, I'm thinking it's fine. Let's see. Yeah, it should be cleaner than that. Just make sure we're on the right page though. And we can make it we can make the transition quicker as well. Let's try that. Yeah, that should be fine. It should look a little bit smoother once we've actually rendered the whole thing. So you have your title, your fade through, you get into your song, you have all your awesome cuts, and it looks really good and professional. And now we're getting to the end, and we're gonna want a fade out as well. We're probably also going to want to leave a little space because chances are you're putting this on YouTube and you might want people to subscribe and like and whatever you want to do. So we're going to leave a little bit of room for an end card as well. So we're just going to take this end part, and so we're just going to take this end part, click copy, then make sure our cursor's at the right spot, and then click paste. We'll drag that down and go over here, make sure we have what we want it to say. We're not going to have the same thing. We're going to say subscribe, or like and subscribe. Boom. And then we're going to pull that up a little bit so we have room for an end card right here. And actually we'll probably want to make that a little longer, And we're gonna wanna get rid of that old fade because that's a fade in, which doesn't make sense since we're fading out. And now we're gonna do another fade through black between the two. So we're getting our fade through black out into, let's see, yep, perfect, like and subscribe. Then it's gonna go a little bit longer so you have your end card, and then it fades out. Beautiful. Look how professional that looks, and it took me not very long, just a few minutes. Of course, this is gonna take you a little bit longer if you're new to this, but it's a lot of fun, honestly, and it's really cool to make your performance something that people will really wanna watch and they'll really enjoy, instead of just setting up your camera, clicking start, and uploading it, which is totally fine, but this is a lot more fun. It's really gratifying to watch all those different pieces come together into a masterpiece. Once you feel that it's ready to put out to the world, now it's time to export it. For most editing softwares, you can click File and then go to Export. For Camtasia, they make it really easy with this little share button. You just click Share, and I'm gonna do a local file. It's really cool to be able to put it directly onto YouTube, and if you can do that, I recommend it. However, not every video editing software has that option. So what we're gonna do is, the universal way to do it is just to do a local file. And this way we can pick up next week with uploading it and sharing it. So we're gonna click local file and go through all of our settings, make sure we have an MP4 and we have all of the correct settings. Everything looks good. And then we're gonna make sure we name it correctly. Chopsticks. And we're going to click finish. So it now tells me that it's rendering the project, and it was a pretty short project, so it shouldn't take that long to do. If you have a longer song, it's gonna take a while. So this part, you're probably just gonna walk away, go get some food, do some work, whatever. And we are ready, good to go. So it shows me my video. You're gonna wanna preview it, make sure everything is looking the way you want it. Now I'm gonna go back to Camtasia and click finish to make sure that it finishes rendering and it's good to go. This next part, many of you can probably figure out on your own, so if you know how to do it, don't wait for me, just go ahead and do it. Just upload it to YouTube, copy the link, and enter that into the competition. For those of you who don't know how to do that, that's what next week's video is for. I can't tell you how excited I am to see all your videos. I've had a lot of people telling me about what they're doing, what they're planning, the creative things they're trying, and I'm really, really excited to see everything. Let us know in the comments if you have any questions or you need any help, but you guys are in the home stretch, so good luck and have a great week.